Hi everyone. So this is the WildFly community call for March 19th. Um, First, we have some community announcement, mostly about the WildFly release. There's a thread on Zulip about that. Brent, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So the current schedule is that basically the PRs would be due for new features next Wednesday, a week from yesterday, in order to release the beta on April 2nd and then the final on April 16th. But we're discussing in Zulip. There's actually, we always have in Zulip, there's a releases channel, and there's always a thread for each release. And then in the thread for that release, we're having a discussion of pushing it out a week. Particularly, thank you, Jeff, for adding that in. And I think the consensus is there that that's a good thing to do. So I would say it's like, and I was going to somewhat give this call a chance if anybody has anything to say about it, but I think we're pretty close to a consensus that we'll push it out a week. Particularly, I know there's a lot of people on holidays around the 2nd, plus there's a lot of stuff there's particularly related to E11 that we're doing a big push on that it would be good to give it a little more time to get it done. So.
Okay, sounds good. If we reach a conclusion, you will send a mail to WildFly Dev and update the calendar anyway.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
I would expect that'll happen probably this morning or by morning.
Okay.
Because I think we're pretty much reaching a conclusion. So.
The second item is that Fabio has been added as a maintainer for the WildFly application server project. I'm not sure if it's the first one that is promoted like that since we have changed the governance, but I wanted to shout out to Fabio and welcome him as a maintainer.
Yep, thank you. That was the first one. So.
Okay, thanks. I don't miss anybody else, so that's good. I think then it was more a public service announcement. The WildFly issue tracker has moved to Atlassian Cloud. It will be transparent from a URL perspective. All the issues on all the links on issuesbrother.com should now go to Atlassian. The UI has changed quite a bit, so it takes time to use that. I think, Brian, you mentioned that there's a way also to modify the UI to pin the fields that you are interested in the issues.
Yeah, essentially, basically next to every field, there's like, there's a little pin icon, and you can click on that. And then in the top, well, this is the ones on the right side, the ones that are kind of in the middle, I don't think you can do, but the ones on the right side, you can click them and they go pin and they go to the top right. And that's pretty good. You can easily, there's a lot of pretty random fields from a wildlife perspective that are highlighted. So if you pin the ones that are more that we tend to look at, it's definitely helpful. I think there's also things the project itself can do to maintain how the view is. Maybe over time we'll do that. At this point, I haven't looked at it, but I think there's probably some things we can tweak to change the basic view for the project itself.
So something I'm wondering, should we use the new URL for our WildFly issues now, or should we continue to use the issuesbrother.com?
I think use the new ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One other thing that does break, by the way, is old links to things like filters are broken.
Okay.
Because like issue numbers, all that stuff are consistent across the two things, but filter numbers, like an old filter number from issues.redhat.com means nothing on redhat.atlassian.com. So it's a broken link, which is unfortunate because some places, like in release notes and stuff, sometimes there was filter links.
Oh, and I think, James, you mentioned also that the way that the release are generated is a bit different. The release notes.
Yes, it is. It took me a minute, because it wants to create in like a space or something like that, but there's a link that's up higher that, like, if you just click that, it's kind of like the old ones. So
okay, good.
And just as an FYI, the WildFly bot for PRs has been updated to look for redhat.atlassian.net, not issues.redhat.com. So that's one reason to use the new links in PRs, at least.
Okay, but it will still work with the old links?
No. It broke on mine yesterday it was like an old PR that I rebased and repushed. And
Okay. Okay. So there's maybe some cleanup to do for PRs that are in the queue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've already
And-
updated the WildFly bot to actually accept the new URLs. So if you don't update them, then you're going to get a message from the WildFly bot.
Yeah.
on
Okay.
pull requests.
Okay.
And just
I've
so
already
people
done it,
know, too,
James,
go ahead.
for your pull request.
And I mean, at least for me, the warnings from the bot, I mean, they're just like information. In other words, we're not using that WildFly bot to prevent merging of anything. So if you have an old PR and it complains that you don't have the right thing, well, a human's going to look at it anyways. So,
Okay.
Yeah, but human prefers to see the green icon, right? I mean,
true.
makes life much easier.
Okay. Then next item is about the progress we are doing with Java 25. So we have added a bunch of PR testing in WildFly and WildFly Core. Anything specific you want to mention, Yere or Brian, about that? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's, as far as I know, it's working. So,
Okay, great. I have not looked at the PR queue. Do you see issues that are still on 25 and not on other things?
Not that I've noticed.
Okay.
To be honest, my head's been, maybe Rado has probably looked more at the PRQ in the last week
Okay.
in terms of processing PRs, but I haven't personally noticed any problems with SC25.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, there's nothing that would be showing up.
Okay. Then Jakarta APIs. Who wants to talk about that?
That was me.
Okay.
So for context, we're getting close to being able to move standard WildFly to be providing E11 instead of E10. But for at least a quarter or two, we want to provide a separate variant. I've talked about this before. We want to provide a separate variant, a different feature pack, basically, that provides the E10. I just wanted to talk a little bit, particularly with Darren, I guess. He might have already thought this through. I don't know. There's actually 3 Jakarta APIs that come via WildFly Core, and they've all changed for E11. So I'm just curious what our thoughts are on that, what to do about it, all that kind of thing. I can quickly talk about interceptors, because that's not the Darren one. Interceptors, I think it's fine. We just upgrade it in Core. There's like one class in Core that uses interceptors, and it doesn't involve anything that's different between the E10 and E11. So there's no reason not to just move Core to the E11 variant, and then for the E10 variant in WildFly, we'll downgrade it in full WildFly. I think that handles that one. But the other 2 are more interesting.
Can you just explain to me what Jakarta interceptors are? Or if they belong to another spec? It's not clear to me, but...
It basically provides like invocation context, stuff like, I think that's about it. Stuff like that. So it's like EDB interceptors, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
CDI too.
CDI interceptors. Yeah.
Okay. I see. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Darren. You just joined the call. We were talking about the Jakarta APIs that are coming with WildFly Core, and in particular, the 2 about authentication and authorization.
No, I've been in the call since the beginning.
Sorry.
So for these, I think these will be the same as interceptors, to be honest. The fact that we can just swap the modules over within WildFly Preview, I think we've demonstrated that they're interchangeable. So I think it'll be the same, that we'll just have to move WildFly Core to E11 and then downgrade in the E10 version.
Okay, awesome. So there's actually, if you see linked there, there's a JIRA for each of these to decide what to do. And based on this call, I'm going to resolve all those.
Awesome.
Which is nice, because I'll just resolve all those that we've made a decision what we're going to do. So thank you.
It almost seems like with those, we could like override them in WildFly now, upgrade them in Core now, type of thing. Well, maybe it's a little too soon, but
yeah, that might be worthwhile. So otherwise, it is going to be one of these complicated, having to merge things to Core and coordinate tags and
Yeah.
So yes, if we did force the downgrade override into the WildFly EE feature pack now, then that would help us decouple these a little bit.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah,
I'm kind of half on PTO the rest of this week, but we'll see. Particularly in the mornings when my young adult kid sleeps. And we don't do stuff. You might see me online. All right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. But we'll make that happen by the time I see you again, Darren. So.
Okay, great.
Will this approach will make things more complicated for product branches? I know this is a community call, but I don't know, because we also have to somehow to keep the compatibility with the E10 and running everything with E10. So yeah.
I don't think so. Because in the end, the full server is going to control the version used in both cases. So all this basically affects is the WildFly Core test suite execution. That's the place where what version is actually in the branch matters. Yeah. So it should be okay.
Okay, so my understanding is those APIs are completely compatible between E10 and E11, right?
As far as
And
the
the
WildFly
wall-
Core testing is concerned.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we want to continue running the same test suite using E11 variant in WildFly Core. We are not going to exercise the pure EE10 API because WildFly Core is not going to ship that API, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay. I'm just wondering how we are going to keep the E10 variant exercised.
It's kind of like
Yes.
the opposite of preview, right? So right now we override everything in preview, but we're just gonna keep everything the same in preview, but override it in standard.
Yeah,
I don't know what you call it.
but here we are talking about test suite on WildFly Core. So
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So
So
I mean, WildFly, yeah, it should be.
apart from management model related stuff, I don't think there's going to be a lot of authentication or authorization testing in Core. I think we're dependent on too much in WildFly. The only reason they're in Core is just because the Electron subsystem needed a dependency on the APIs, so we could add some references in the model. But other than model testing, I don't think we do a lot in Core on these that's version specific.
And that's definitely the case with interceptors for sure. That's definitely the case.
I would just mention it's one of those on the list of time permitting kind of things. We would really love to move both authentication and authorization into separate extensions that would be in WildFly in the future anyway. It's only because of, like I say, the Electron subsystem that we have them in Core for now, but if we get time in the future, we would like to clean those two up.
Okay. Thanks. So next section is about some other interesting discussions happening in the community. The first one is a highlight from a proposal to integrate with HashiCorp, the feature pack. Diana, do you want to just mention what you are doing with that proposal and what you are looking for?
So for anybody interested, you can check out the proposal, and if anybody is also interested, we are looking for a person who could do the role of outside perspective and work a bit on the feature pack with us. And maybe I can also mention that we did an alpha 3 release of the feature pack this week. So if anybody wants to check it out as well. It also now includes ability to use expressions in the server configuration, which will point to the secrets which are stored in the HashiCorp vault. So maybe I can also mention that. And yeah, thank you for interest to anybody.
Do you have a timeline for the final release of the feature pack to tie that to a release of WildFly?
Yes, so we are planning for WildFly 40.
40, okay.
Just go WildFly 40 beta.
Yeah.
We were discussing this morning the build sequence, the release process for beta. So I will be the person who's tagging the beta release. So I was discussing with Diana that on the Thursday morning, Diana needs a dependency on a released version of WildFly. So on the Thursday morning before we announce the WildFly release, Diana can proceed with the feature pack work. And I think we will, in the release notes, in the release blog post for WildFly 40 beta, we'll cross-reference something that points to a blog post regarding this feature pack.
Okay. Something also to keep in mind is checking with Jean-François how to integrate the feature pack with Glow and the catalog that we have. I don't remember if he's doing that for beta releases or just final, but that's something to check with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that people can more easily discover the HashiCorp if they are using Glow, for example.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I am keeping that in mind.
No, actually, I will add a comment to the proposal. I think it should be part of the acceptance criteria to add that to the catalog of WildFly.
Okay.
The next item is about MP config and config source visibility.
Yeah, I added that. Not so much necessarily about that thread itself, which just glancing at it seems to be getting very technical and detailed about implementation stuff. But I just kind of a call out that I guess open API is like one place where MP config is starting to come into server configuration as opposed to deployment configuration, which is a kind of a separate thing. So that's something coming in the future, and I mean it already exists, but there will probably be more and more of it. I know at Jakarta they want to use MP config. They want to turn MP config into a Jakarta spec, and then I can see it coming into all sorts of subsystems. So it's just interesting. This is going to be an interesting technical problem. I'm glad to see Kabir and Paul working, discussing stuff, because they're very smart guys. So.
Yeah. I asked the question because to me, MP config was not part of the subsystem, and Paul corrected me that it's actually the case for OpenAPI, which raised the questions that we have very MP config light way to configure the subsystems. We can use environment variables, system properties. So if we go to the MP config pathway, we have to make sure that first it does not go into WildFly E feature pack without notice, and maybe kind of consolidate the way we are injecting configuration into the subsystems. It was Kabir and Paul to do that, but I think it's something that needs to be done in a sane way, especially if we want to continue to have a split where MP config comes with WildFly feature pack and not necessarily in E feature pack. I think that's the main concern I would have from the kernel of WildFly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, it's fine if you have something optional, and this is like another way to do something, but you have to be able to do it without that. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, at some point, but it might be years, there will be config within Jakarta EE, and then maybe that can be in the WildFly EE feature pack, but it's not currently on the roadmap for EE 12. Although there's a lot of people that might want to make it happen, so it wouldn't shock me if somehow get crammed in, which would scare me, to be honest, if it happened like that. But even E12 probably won't be done until next year. And then if it's E13, we're talking 2 more years. So
yeah, it might happen down the road, but not at least not in Jakarta in the upcoming future.
Mm-hmm. And the good thing is that gives us time to think really hard about it.
Definitely. Is there any other things that were at the parking lot? Is there anything else that people want to mention or discuss? Okay. Well, in that case, I think we can stop the meeting now. Thanks everybody for joining. Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy
Thank you,
your
bye.
health PTO, Brian.
Thanks.
Bye.